On October 29, 1966, Jim Kern, founder of the Florida Trail Association, and like-minded hiking enthusiasts began building the Florida Trail at the entrance to Clearwater Lake Rec Area in Ocala National Forest. The first 26-mile section, completed in 1969, extended northwest through the forest from here to State Road 40. In 1983, the Florida Trail earned congressional recognition and was designated the Florida National Scenic Trail under the National Trails System Act of 1968. The Florida Trail is one of 11 National Scenic Trails and one of 3 contained within a single state. As of the 50th anniversary of the Florida Trail in 2016, more than 1,000 miles of continuous trail have been completed through the efforts of many volunteers. The trail spans the length of the state from Big Cypress National Preserve in South Florida to Gulf Islands National Seashore in the Panhandle, with a spur trail into Alabama, connecting it to a national trail network from Florida to the Canadian border. Each year, many thousands of Floridians and visitors from around the world discover the real Florida while walking this footpath that passes through the state's varied ecosystems. I've been looking forward to this and starting this trail. The Orlando Bike Path, also known as the Cross Seminole Trail, I believe. And we get to skateboard it. It's like 25 miles or something of just nice bike path skirting around the city of Orlando. So we've already scoped out a movie theater to go to, Chipotle to go to. There's so many food options, like a bakery, and we're just gonna be on the skateboards all day and really enjoying it. So yeah, I hope this will be a highlight of the trip. That's kind of what I've been expecting. Carrying 6-pound skateboards at this point for over 700 miles, and you know, it's these moments that really make that extra weight worthwhile.
So despite how fun the Orlando Bike Path is, we have a little problem here that may bring the skateboard into question. And the problem is that the skating is giving me shin splints, and with every mile on the board, those are becoming more and more painful. I know it's the skateboard that's doing this to me because I only feel the pain in one leg, my pushing leg. And to really make things more clear, that pain goes away after just a few minutes of walking. So as we carve down the path, up and over the bridges, over to the movie theater, and an impressive 3 Chipotle burritos from 3 separate Chipotles in a single day, both Sprocket and I are caused to stop what we're doing and take walking breaks every 20 minutes as the pain grows and then subsides. It's an unfortunate thing, but I did notice the shin splints starting to happen on the very first day of this trip, and it's just gotten steadily worse ever since then. I guess, as it turns out, my body is used to hiking a 20-mile day, but maybe not skating a 20-mile day. Even still, the bike path is extremely fun, and with the boards, it is certainly one of the biggest highlights of this entire trip so far. One of the best days that we've had out here. Even hiking this bike path without the boards, this is just a fun area to be in, with all of the stores and the restaurants and the theater and all of the wonderful parks. I think a lot of people don't really look forward to the aspect of 20 or 30 miles of walking pavement, but when it comes to this section of pavement on the Florida Trail, this is one that I've always enjoyed, and that I personally have always looked forward to. So I really hope that my shin splints get better by the end of this trip, but it's really kind of seeming that they're probably only going to get worse from here.
All right, it is time. No longer carrying the shoes. Now I'll get rid of my old ones and put on these new ones. So old shoes. You can see this one still has some tread. This one that stands on the board. But this one, my pushing foot for the skateboard, So much of the tread is just like flattened and gone. Kind of incredible. Sprocket's gonna wear the same shoes for the whole trip, but I am not. So we're done with the bike path. We're entering the trail. On my map, this is called Secret Trailhead. So here's a really nice sign, but it's like hidden in the woods. No one would even really know it's here. And a tiny little gripe. This map is like super pixelated. Like, I'm glad they have a map, but dang. So just finished the bike path. Now hiking again, back in the woods. Bike path is awesome. I mean, the skateboards just make something like that so ridiculously fun. It's just like being at the beach, ripping it on a surfboard, but you're just on this concrete path with no worries of cars or anything like that. And just shredding side to side. So we really enjoyed the bike path, but excited to be back in the woods too. Except of course now we gotta carry these things as always. If every road walk was just a bike path, I mean, I'd definitely still complain, but you know, I'd be complaining a bit less, and I'd certainly be recommending the skateboard a lot more. So this is the Econ Lochachi River, or I've always heard it called the Little Big Econ, and we're gonna be following this for a little while. And I think maybe later today going through some swamps or something, but who's to say? Florida Trail is always a mystery.
The areas southeast of Orlando are really incredible, and I think anyone who lives in the area is quite lucky with so many great options for hiking and backpacking. The Little Big Econ River with all its recreational opportunities to Charles H. Bronson, Seminole Ranch, Tosohatchee, Bull Creek, Forever Florida, and maybe just an hour's drive away is 3 lakes with tons of loop trails and just wonderful, wonderful hiking. It's a lot of small natural areas all strung together, which, in my opinion, are about as beautiful as Florida can get. The large oak trees, the beautiful bridges built by the FTA, towering palm tree hammocks, swamp dense and green forests exploding with life. I may not always remember the names of these places, but I will never forget how nice it is to be walking through them. Right now, we are closing in on the 800-mile mark of our trip, with roughly just 300 more miles to go until we are done. And both of us are definitely starting to feel the pull to the end. We're growing a little bit tired of hiker food and maybe starting to dream a bit more of real food instead. We're both still loving it out here, but you know, you just can't help but to think of fresh fruit, which is kind of hard to pack out in a backpack and have last for a few days in that backpack. But for anyone interested in this trip and how maybe they could hike the Florida Trail themselves, here's a few tips that I think are essential. Some tips that have carried me through my 3 through hikes of the Florida Trail. Now, I'm going to break the rules immediately and tell you to go northbound, even though we are going southbound, and I've gone southbound every single time in the past. I think northbound is really the best way to treat this trail, and that's because of the seasons. We are starting as southbound hikers up in the north when it's going to be the absolute coldest in the farthest north reaches of Florida, and we are hiking into the south as the temperatures are getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So as we get south, not only are temperatures rising naturally, but they're getting even worse because we are heading closer to the equator. So going northbound, you just have much better seasons. You start in the very south in the hottest reaches of Florida when the temperatures are their nicest, and then you're just following that further and further north and staying with those really nice temperatures as far as you go. The southbound hiker, on the other hand, is going to have much more extreme swings from the very beginning to the very end. I think going northbound also has the big advantage of there's going to be so many more people. And I wouldn't take this as you're not going to have your solitude like maybe on a trail such as the Appalachian Trail, because the Florida Trail in general is only going to have 100 to maybe 200 people who attempt it per year. which if you compare that to the Appalachian Trail, which has probably close to 10,000 people who attempt it per year, the Florida Trail is far from overcrowded. But by going northbound, you're going to be hiking along with the majority of people that are also doing this. So there's going to be much more camaraderie. And I think given how frequent the towns come up on this trail, having friends along the way is just going to be so much more fun. You can do the road walks together and complain about the roads together, but then you can go into a town and have a drink and get dinner with other hikers on the same journey as you. The campsites are beautiful, the swimming holes are incredible, and you get to enjoy that with other people. Whereas this year in particular, I think we are the only southbound hikers out there. There's maybe one or two more, but we are not going to see them for our entire journey. Now, the Florida Trail has one kind of unfortunate aspect about it, and that is the hiking season. The best time to be out hiking is also right in line with hunting season. They're staggered slightly, but you're still going to run into hunters on this trail. And so my next tip, of course, is you need to wear orange. Personally, on this trip, I have an orange buff that I have, which I can wear on my head to make myself more visible. And that's typically what I've done in the past.
It's a triple bridge. So, one bridge, another bridge, and then third bridge. I remember the old bridges here. These ones are way nicer. What a pretty area.
Now, my girlfriend here is taking this much more seriously, as she has an orange jacket and a pink t-shirt, and her backpack is bright pink, and she has a pink skateboard helmet hanging off of her backpack. So frankly, so long as I'm with her, then she is just absolutely glowing through the woods, and there's no hunter who is ever even going to think twice about us. But on the Florida Trail, you definitely need to wear some orange. And bonus points that the markers you're following for the entire way of the Florida Trail, and the Florida Trail's color, is orange. Now, another thing with your gear is to consider carrying an umbrella. I think an umbrella is such a fantastic piece of hiking gear, and the Florida Trail is really the perfect environment for it. No, you're not hiking through a rainforest where you're going to be getting soaked every single day from torrential downpours. That's not really the case. But you're probably going to get rained on often enough where an umbrella is going to be a really fun thing that you can have to keep that weather off of you. And the real beauty here is so frequently you're going to be hiking through large prairies with no trees and big expanses where it can be quite hot and quite sunny. So not only is the umbrella going to be great for when it rains, it's going to be great for the sun and the heat. So personally, on this trail, I've been carrying an umbrella and I have really, really loved it. And I would highly recommend you consider carrying an umbrella as well on your Florida Trail hikes. They are perfect for the rain, they are perfect for the sun. It's going to give you shade wherever you go, no matter where you are. So an umbrella is a wonderful thing, and it's definitely something that I highly recommend. Something to keep in mind about the Florida Trail is that you're hiking this in the middle of winter. Now, the temperatures here are still going to be great. You're generally not going to have to deal with snow or anything like that unless you're hiking in just an absolute insane year. But the dead of winter is known for something else, and that is a lack of daylight. So although this trail is fairly simple physically, you're never going to be climbing big giant mountains that are going to really take your breath away physically. It's also not the trail where getting really big miles is something that's going to be easy. Because in general, if the sun is rising at 8 or 9 a.m. and it's setting by like 3 p.m., you just don't have that many hours in the day to put in the miles. Now, I don't think this is a big deal. I think you can still easily make 20 miles in a day if you're really motivated to do so. But I would really take that into account with your gear and consider that you're going to be spending a lot of time in camp because it's just too dark to be out hiking for more than an hour or so. So you're going to want a tent, a shelter that you are happy to be living in, and not something that's more akin to a small coffin that keeps rain off of you. Now, my final little tip here is for the swamps, and that is to carry 3 pairs of socks. Because when you're hiking through a wet section, the best thing that you can do for your feet is once you finish that water, is to put on some dry socks. Now, the problem comes in is when in 3, 4, 5 hours from now, you come across another wet section, and now suddenly, if you're only carrying 2 pairs of socks, both of those socks are going to be wet, and your feet are going to be very unhappy the next day. So in general, when it comes to a 1,000-mile walk across the country, across the state, whatever it may be, your feet are the most important thing. And you really need to keep them healthy. So by carrying 3 pairs of socks, that's really what you're trying to do here, is trying to give your feet the absolute best chance of not developing blisters, of not developing injuries, and I think 3 pairs is a really, really easy way to deal with that. So I hope for any prospective thru hikers out there who want to do this trail, and I really hope that you enjoy it to the absolute fullest. I think there's so much to love on the Florida Trail, and it's really only getting better year after year.
So we just finished up the Three Lakes Wildlife Management Area, and just north of there, Forever, Florida, just north of that, Bull Creek. But Three Lakes in particular is just one of my favorite spots on this trail. You know, passing under like ancient oak trees with moss growing on everything and like ferns growing on everything, with this cool juxtaposition of the dense like wetland forest compared to the open prairies with all the palmettos and the swaying grass in the wind. You go from prairie to dense forest to prairie to forest, and it's just back and forth, and it's really cool and beautiful. And for anyone looking to do a section hike of the Florida Trail, I feel like Three Lakes is a good option because there's a lot of like loop trails where you could do like a figure 8 over the course of like 2 days, 3 days or something like that. But anyway, Three Lakes, awesome. We've been getting pretty terrible weather, just horrendous rain. So not too much filming of late, unfortunately, but sometimes that is what it is. Now we are soon to begin the most hated road walk on the entire Florida Trail. I don't think anyone looks forward to this road walk. It is on Highway SR 60, and it is between Three Lakes and River Ranch. Now, the funny thing is, it's only like 5 or 6 miles. The trouble, of course, is that everyone's going 80, 85, 90 miles an hour. Not too bad in the end, but I guess if I haven't said it at some point already, the Florida Trail Association is really doing their best to get rid of these roads. That every major road walk that you've seen, all of those roads, the Florida Trail Association not just has plans on how to remove them, but a lot of those plans have been approved, you know, to reroute the trail away from those roads and into the forest. At this point, it is just a matter of time until those plans, those approvals become reality. Florida Trail Association is very much so aware that no one is coming out here for the roads. They want to see the unique environment, the interesting birds and the wildlife that's down here, that exists here. I think that really makes it special, and it means there's just so much potential out here for it to be just something truly amazing, something that anyone can enjoy. So we just resupplied at River Ranch. Wow, I choose the green. Okay, I'll get the green. Which is like a cowboy and Indian themed resort. It was pretty fun. Yeah, lots of food there, friendly people, electrical outlets everywhere. You can nab a free shower from the camping building. And now we're back in the woods. So heading into the Kiso management area, which from what I remember has a lot of really big oak trees and should be pretty beautiful. From there we'll head into the Kissimmee Prairie Preserve and then down into the sloughs. So as always, a little bit of road, a lot of trail.